It has been a while since I've recorded a long-winded, just me talking to a mic video sort of situation. And what made me want to do this, I saw a recent video by some ordinary gamers, somebody who I've been following for a while now. The fact that he's commenting on this situation just is a little surreal to me, and it's kind of made me lose hope. It really has. He basically posted up a video as of recording this 8 hours ago where he was talking about the TF2 bot situation. And what really just made me lose hope in TF2, I saw him, he had footage of him installing the game, level 1 badge, hasn't touched a thing, first casual match, a server entirely full of bots. And they were trying, I don't know, it was just so sad. And it's like, if new people can't even get in the game at all, and fresh people can't even voice chat or text chat, which is super stupid. Because it's not like that's done anything anymore. That worked for like a week. I don't know, I think I'm calling it. I think TF2's finally, it's not dead, but Valve is really kicking it while it's down. They want it to die so badly. My main line of thinking for this is the way they've been handling updates, the way they've been shooting down community projects in order to try to do something for the game. I think they really just want it dead. I don't know why they want. I have a few good ideas why they want it dead so badly. I mean, it makes them a lot of money, but they already make like a gajillion times more money just off of Steam as a platform. The TF2 community market is just a nice bonus on the side to them, even though that's a fuck ton of money. I mean, it's a really old game on an engine that's not optimized at all by modern standards. The code is really old and it's full of noodles and hamsters. I wouldn't want to go near that with a 12-foot pole, and I'm sure nobody at Valve wants to go near that either. So, I think they're finally just trying to yank the plug out of the TF2 machine. They made a game that was too good. They really did. I'm not even saying this as a person who's, I've been there since the beginning, and this and that, and I played a little bit before Jungle Inferno. Like less than 20 hours, but when I started really playing the game, it was after their last major final update, Jungle Inferno. So the only TF2 that I've known is this version of TF2, the version of TF2 with the crappy ambassador, this version of TF2 with the borked bison, this version of TF2 with, the pyro jetpack, this version of TF2 where, the reserve shooter was always shit on pyro. I've never known a TF2 before that. And from me saying they really did make a game that was too good. I was not there for its prime. And I've put in, let me get an accurate result before I say something. 2,201.9 hours into TF2 over these last 4 years since Jungle Inferno came out. I love this game. I wouldn't go so far as to call it my favorite, but it's definitely in my top 10, probably top 5. They made it so good to the point where it just won't die. Like, any other game at this point would have been dead long ago. I mean, I don't want to say Overwatch is dead, but from what I've heard, Overwatch has been on the decline for a little while now, and especially since Overwatch 2's beta just got released. Overwatch is pretty much being put away, set aside. But I mean, what other multiplayer games? I mean, I can't think of much else that's lasted much longer. Not even Unreal Tournament lasted longer. It just won't die. I mean, Alright, I've been sidetracking all over the place, so let me refocus onto an earlier point I was saying where Valve is just trying to kill it at this point without directly saying we don't want to work on it anymore. Because if they said that, they would lose their nice TF2 community market bonuses, I assume. So they don't want to do that. What really makes me say they're trying to kill it is, remember TFS2, which I've been super excited about. Like, I remember dreaming of TFS2 before, like, years before, like, an official project was announced, ever since Sandbox was, given private access to certain developers. Team Fortress Source 2 looked good. I mean, it wasn't polished, but it would have run so much better than our current version. It looked better than the current version, like, graphically wise. And from the footage that I saw, it looked like it would have felt pretty similar. And then you have Team Fortress Classic, where they literally, like, cease and desisted them. They cease and desisted a Team Fortress mod. And may I remind you, Team Fortress, in the beginning, was a mod. It was a Quake mod, yeah. I don't know why it was escaping me. It was a Quake mod. And they bought Team Fortress and, the developers, the IP, made Team Fortress 2, and now you're not allowed to make a community mod. No more Team Fortress Classic, no more Team Fortress Source 2. They've been shooting down community projects, and then other community projects, creators at TF. It's basically dead at this point. Face It died a long time ago. It barely even Face It barely got its feet off the ground. The only reason it got 80 sort of traction is because of, the community hyping it up so much. And to be fair, I was kind of on that side. I wanted Face It to work so badly, but it just didn't. Cheaters still made their way into Face It very often, and I'm pretty sure near before they stopped officially supporting casual, bots were making their way into Face It servers. Just as a final fuck you. And there's so many ways Valve can fix this bot issue. Will it take time? Of course. Is it probably harder than I'm thinking it is? Absolutely. But man, there's so many avenues they can take. And with how much money they've been making off of Steam, how much money they've made off of TF2 period, there's no real reason they couldn't implement some of these fixes unless they just don't give a shit or they're actively trying to kill it. A lot of people, I mean me included, I think the best solution is to introduce a sort of CSGO trust system. People with hours should, and some other trust factors equal, and like, you don't get kicked from games often. Stuff like that equals you have more power, you have more of a voice in vote systems in order to kick bots, in order to kick cheaters. Like, like the stupidest thing, they introduced like a 4-minute or 2-minute voting restriction. So like, if you call a vote, you can't call another vote in like 4 minutes. The dumbest shit possible. They could make that work, honestly. Like, if they, okay, so for a fresh install, you can't call a vote for 5 minutes. Sounds fine. But, like, let's say you have 200 hours in the game, then you'd only have to wait like 3 minutes. You have, 500 hours in the game, you'd only have to wait a minute. If you have 2,000 hours in the game, maybe you shouldn't really have to wait at all. And I know there are plenty of cheater accounts out there that have thousands of hours. I've come across them. But that's such a small part of the cheater problem. Cheater accounts with a large amount of hours that would have, voting power. That it would fix a good 90% of the current problems. And I know that another thing is that the TF2 bot code is literally open source. It's on GitHub. It really is. Like, I'm not gonna link to it or show, what it looks like, but I've seen it. It's there. It's not hard. If you really just hated everybody who played TF2, willing to run your computer for a little while, and you know you didn't mind having a rootkit installed on your computer, which probably meant that you just hooked yourself into a larger botnet, then you could run TF2 bots. I mean, the numbers that I saw, like each bot only takes up like, you know, 3% of your CPU cycles on a good modern day CPU and 700 megabytes of RAM. That's like nothing. I mean, the RAM maybe, but I mean, my system right now, 32 gigabytes of RAM. You can run at least 30 bots, an entire server's worth of bots, and basically not feel anything. Your memory's gonna, you know, hit the 30 gigabyte mark. Well, whoop-de-doo. TF2 doesn't use that much of your RAM anyway. And for people who have 64 gigabytes of RAM, boom, your number's just like doubled. It's insane. And it doesn't take that much CPU processing at all. And I bet, especially if you're cloud outsourcing these bots, the possibilities are limitless. That's probably why there's 50,000 bots on the Steam charts right now. I mean, I know it's probably not that much, but it also wouldn't surprise me that if a good 60% of the Steam charts numbers were just bots. It's that bad. Like, going over recent footage of games that I've been through, on average, like, every game, on average, you'd come across, what was the number? I have it written down somewhere. I think it was like 3.5, 3.6 bots per game. And that's take into account some games have like a crap ton and some games just don't have any, which is very small chance, by the way. Still, 3 bots in a game at any given point. I'm not talking about total, by the way. Not total bots in, you know, an entire match. I'm talking about bots in a server concurrent. How many concurrent bots there are in a game at a given point? Usually like 2 or 3. That's insane. And you can't kick them fast enough. Because of Valve thought it was a great idea to introduce a 4-minute timer to voting these fuckers. It's so sad. It's depressing. And the recent update patch notes, security improvements. That's the same kind of stuff that I would say if I was working for a company. Oh, and I just had to meet a quota on this game that was, you know, 20 years old or 15 years old. You know, a lot of people are complaining, blah, 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 blah. We'll just say we did security improvements, and that's it. People will just have to assume that it's server side, which it's probably not. It's probably just they changed a few lines of code to go like, yeah, I bet that'll stomp like 2 bots, maybe, for like an hour. And, oh, security improvements. That's the same, that's the shit I would pull if I didn't care about the game that I was working for, and I just had to keep it somewhat alive. They're not even like detailing what they're fixing. And again, it's under the guise of, well, if we say exactly how we fix it, then the bots can just circumvent it anyway. That's just sad. It really is. Let me look up most recent TF2 patch notes. What we got? TeamFortress.com. March 30th, 2022. I guess was the most recent? It's May. I thought there was like an April update in there somewhere. But on their official website, March 30th, 2022. Update to Team Fortress 2. Update include blah blah blah. Updated the taunt to fix it and updated class portraits. What they do? They didn't even mention security update. March 29th, same thing, nothing. Okay, March 28th, 2022, security and stability improvements. That's all they said. It's really all they said. But after they said that, they didn't even mention anything that could have possibly been combating the bots. Unless you want to update the localization files, which doesn't count. But even if you wanted to count that in some weird way, the last update on March 30th didn't even have that. The old reliable updated localization files didn't get updated in the last patch. So I guess that's it. I just wanted to say my piece. TF2 is still alive, but the developers are actively trying to kill it by ignoring it. It's like TF2 is a puppy in a cage, and Valve are the neglectful owners that have moved out like 3 months ago, and the poor puppy in the cage is just sitting there trying to survive. And you know, again, the TF2 community, the little ants, are bringing it little pieces of food to keep it a little bit alive. And the owner's never gonna come back. And eventually the ants are gonna, winter's gonna come. And the ants are gonna be able to bring food anymore. And the puppy will die. It's a very graphic analogy, but that's how I kind of feel about this right now. And it's even kind of reflecting. I mean, I don't make fantastic videos. I'll be the first one to admit they're okay. I like them, but I mean, they're no showstopper. And even I'm running out of TF2 material. I used to have terabytes, or more like 2 terabytes, but still 2 fucking terabytes of TF2 footage at any given time. I just had that much of a backlog. And nowadays, I have it calculated right here. I have about 600 gigabytes. And that's after I upgraded the quality so that each clip takes about double the size. If my estimations are correct, I only really have about 6 TF2 videos of repository. And I haven't been playing the game recently, just because the bots are so bad. And part of that's because my friends aren't really getting on either. Probably because they're also tired of the bots being so bad. I mean, I'm just gonna try not to stop producing TF2 content. It's kind of the lifeblood. It's what I built this channel off of. But I think it's become more apparent recently that I'm not being able to keep up with every other week like I originally wanted. I'm really trying, but it's kind of hard. Long and rambly video over, I guess. Yeah, it just sucks. I mean, I wish I could look forward to the day that TF2 gets the... What is even the word at this point? There isn't even a word large enough to describe how monumental, how special a heavy update would be right now. But even that, I mean, unless it's also a bug fix update, a bot update, a quality of life update, a content update, TF2 is scary right now. And not as a player standpoint, as a developer standpoint. TF2 is scary to touch. Because they've let it go to such a point where they have so much stuff that they don't have to do a heavy update. They've already said in the past that, after Pyro, there might be a heavy one. But even if you take out a new content update, the bug fixes, there are still a lot of bugs. I mean, it's not a ton, it's not like unplayable due to bugs. But there's still plenty of bugs out there. Like bad maps, like the most recent maps, Whatville and Breadspace. Horrific maps on launch. And, not to discredit the map creators, but I mean, I think for Breadspace, it was literally marked as beta on the Steam page, and they still just added it to the game. It was literally unfinished, and they threw it in there. They didn't playtest it at all, and there were so many bugs with that map. And there's still plenty of bugs on Breadspace. Plenty of bugs on Whatville. A lot of Halloween maps just come shipped bugged now. The bot update. It's probably easier said than done. But, I mean, holy shit. If you can't fix the bots, you're not going to be fixing anything else. Because Oh, never mind. They fixed the contractor bug because people cared about the contractor bug amidst all of this TF2 bot nonsense. They fixed, okay, crashes, that's noteworthy. Fixed strange cosmetic items not counting buildings destroyed for buildings destroyed by a sapper. That's what they're worried about right now. They're worried about fixing looping particle effects, being orphaned when players are killed or forced to respawn. They're fixing, taunt voice lines. They're still fixing Smithsmith maps. Oh no, that's the Smithsmith swirls. Oh, those are unusual effects. Never mind. They're fixing taunts. They're fixing particle effects. They're not fixing bots. The number one issue, they're not even touching that. Updated CP altitude, increased blue respawn time, increased balance update. How about that? Gee, I wish we could get balance updates for, maybe the weapons that people use. The main core of TF2. Not, admittedly good map, but not some map that not a lot of people play on, especially nowadays. How about we fix the broken as shit Diamondback, the broken as shit Scorch Shot, the broken in a bad way as shit Gas Passer, the broken as a bad way shit Bison. Now we're gonna do some balance changes on CP altitude for respawn times and cameras, spectator cameras. That's what they're fixing. They're not fixing the bugs. They're not, oh, never mind, those are bugs. They're not fixing the bots. They're not fixing balance. They're fixing the most minor shit possible. And honestly, the game is fine. I mean, yeah, people want a heavy update. And maybe if a heavy update happened, I would play him for more than 20 hours. But as the game is right now, it feels good. It feels finished. There's some stinkers, like the weapons I mentioned. But if you kind of exclude those bits, it's the perfect game. It really is. If you exclude the bots and you exclude, the most shit weapons and the most broken weapons, even some overpowered weapons and some broken weapons are fine, right? Or broken bad weapons. Like the Thompson. Nobody's really asking for a rework of the Thompson. Everybody knows it's kind of a bad weapon. But at the same time, it's unique, at least. It's an idea. It's a bad idea. But it's an idea. And it's not ruining anybody's fun. Why not? The short circuit. It's broken in a good way. The balls are really annoying to fight against. And they flashbang you when you're using them. The gunslinger. Yes, it's overpowered garbage. But it's no Scorch Shot. It's no Diamondback, right? And 3 months to fix, 5 weapons is not asking a lot. People have already done it by themselves. Like the probably now dead, what was it called? High GPS balance mod. I really wanted to play those mods too, but there weren't any servers that were nearby for playable ping, so we never really got to try that. But some dude, High GPS, literally rebalanced almost every single weapon. And from what I heard, some of it was good, some of it was bad, but still, only one guy did it. Can you imagine the team Valve could put together to do it, right? It wouldn't be that hard. Or, hire community members that would want to do it, like Master Comms. Master Config is amazing. I used to not use it just because I was all high and mighty on the config that I wrote. And I was like, oh, I wrote my own config. Look at how special I am. I'm using master configs now. It's vastly superior in every single way than I've ever written. Have her, do some shit. She has a much better idea of what she's doing than probably some of the developers working there right now. Hire the High GPS guy. He's probably got a better idea of how to handle things than the people working there right now. I mean, seriously. I'm really just am rambling at this point. I kind of finished this audio recording 10 minutes ago, but I just kept on shouting words at you at 4:30 in the middle of the morning / night. So I'm just gonna cut it off here. I'm really looking forward to the Phantom Pain stream. Yeah, I'm probably not gonna get this video edited in time for me to, or to, whatever. I'm, just dating this video a little more. I'm about to stream Phantom Pain with a crap ton of mods. It's gonna be really fun. So there was my conclusion. TF2, a dying puppy. I think that's the analogy I was going for. Jesus, it's kind of dark. I can't really think of a much better way of, saying how it is. It's being neglected very hard. And, okay, I'm going off of another tangent. I don't want to put down the current devs of TF2. I basically completely, or not completely, but I understand why, people like Jill, even though he's kind of like the front-facing community developer, or not community developer, but he's the most front-facing developer we've got for TF2. Even he's saying he's only working on it part-time. If there were people passionate about that was rough. If there are people passionate about TF2 working at Valve right now, they couldn't do it even if they wanted to. That's just how it works. I mean, I'm no expert, and basically all of the Valve internals information that I'm kind of deriving off of is shit that I've heard from VNN and Reddit. So take that for what you will. But if what they say is correct, then I'm kind of inclined to believe it. If they worked on TF2, there's a good chance that they would get, fired or demoted the next year come, the yearly report, Like, why would they be working on this? It's not the future. It's not BCIs. It's not VR. It's not the Steam Deck. It's not Half-Life Alyx. It's not, whatever the fuck they're working on now. Why are they doing it? Why bother? You're wasting your time. You're wasting your time and you're wasting company funds. That's how they would see it. Even though they make shit tons of money off of the TF2 marketplace, they would still see it as a waste. Because honestly, if they fix the problems, it's not like it's going to drive up sales that much. I mean, people might think it will, and it would bump it up a little bit. But it would die off. It would die off. So there's no real incentive other than making the community happy, I guess. And prolonging how long the community market would stay a success, or the TF2 marketplace in general. And it's very clear that they don't care. I mean, they make enough money off of Steam, they make enough money off of CSGO, off of Dota. They don't need to keep up TF2. Old code base, old game, old ideas, old spaghetti in the code. Like, why would they? It's a waste. And if I were a developer, I probably would have let go of the project already. Unless it was my main source. If I were in the shoes of Valve right now, I completely understand. They're not doing anything at all, but in the scenario they were working on games, in the scenario they were actually doing stuff productive over at Valve, why the fuck would you work on TF2? There'd be no point. At this point, it would be more viable to work on TF3, and you know how afraid of the number 3 Valve is. It's just not gonna happen. And that's it. TF2's probably never getting an update. It's probably never gonna get a good enough fix for these bots. And, the state of the game outside of the bots is probably gonna stay the way it is now for the rest of time. And that's all I have to say. I mean, it's not like I have much influence here, but and it's not even my call to make. I still see so many people hopeful that something could happen. Like VNN recently tried to get a mass email campaign to spam at Valve about the TF2 situation, which rightfully kind of blew up in his face. A lot of people warned him it was gonna blow up in his face. I was in there a little bit in his stream right after that video. People in the stream were talking about it. It might blow up in your face. It's not a good idea to do this. And he was like kind of, we're gung ho about it until it blew up in his face. And then, you have the community members, you have services like Faceit, community servers like creators that just can't. A small, grassroots team can't hold up a game like this without being given proper support from Valve. And even the people that were trying to do something different, people that were trying to mod, people that were trying to build a different version of the game, Team Fortress Source 2. I mean, Valve just shot down, cease and desisted. Don't work on this anymore. Under the vague promise that, we might help you. We want you to do it a different way. Bullshit. It wasn't gonna happen. They never intended on helping the community members. And even if they did, it wasn't gonna last more than 5 minutes. So TF2 wants TF2 dead. Or Valve wants TF2 dead. And that's my final statement. Catch ya in the next stream that I do, I guess. Yeah. See ya.